Hey everyone, it is Nicole here today for Simon Says Stamp with a couple of cards featuring new stamps and dies from the STAMPtember 2018 release. We've got this awesome plank background, the Tiny Words Sentiments stamp set, and then there are several incredible new additions to the picture book series with big picture book dies. So the lion and the hippo are from that, but there's also a couple of dogs, there's a fox, lots of fantastic large images, which are fantastic additions to the picture book collection. We're going to use the lion and the hippo today with a really colorful watercolored background. And the great thing about this particular background is it could be used for anything. I used it with these picture book dies, but you could totally use it with some florals or something else if you wanted to do it in the same colorway that I'm going to be doing here today. Or imagine inking it up with Christmas colors, fall colors, so many awesome things you can do with this. So I have stamped the new plank background on Bristol Smooth cardstock with a clear embossing ink. I'm sprinkling on some white embossing powder, tapping off my excess, and then I'm going to heat set this panel. I am only going to share the coloring of one of these today, but I did both backgrounds exactly the same with one tiny little minor thing. Because I ended up putting a white border of cardstock along the bottom, I ended up not coloring the entire second panel. You'll see me color the entire panel here because when I did this, I had not exactly planned on covering up part of the background, but I really felt like it helped ground the picture book animal a little bit better. So that's kind of my thought process there for why I did that. But I wanted to share how I color this in. If you don't want to take the time to watercolor all of these awesome little sections, do some embossed resist with distress inks or distress oxide inks. There are many other ways to do this. You definitely do not have to do it quite so specific like I'm doing here. I really wanted the look of a colorful background pattern, and I went with pretty much, I call it rainbow color, even though they're a little bit more on the pastel side of the rainbow spectrum. So not really reds per se, but more pinks. Instead of royal blue, we've got more aqua or teal, limey green, and then that kind of purpley blue color. This is one of my favorite color combinations to use just in general when doing rainbow, and a lot of my very favorite color combinations using Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. If you don't have these kind of watercolor markers, try your distress markers, try any type of watercolor marker you have, or watercolors themselves. I think that would be amazing too. Maybe consider Hero Art's liquid watercolors. Lots of options here. The fantastic thing about this is that because I embossed the background, I have mentioned it before, but I think it bears repeating. I'm kind of a lazy watercolor. I feel more in control of my kind of quote unquote watercolor when I have an embossed line to help hold that water inside the line. And so I feel like it just ends up looking a little bit better for me. And so this works really great for this particular technique. I'm laying down my dark color. I'm kind of blending it a bit with my lighter color and then blending it out even more with a water brush pen that has water in it. And I'm just going to kind of keep moving back and forth. I didn't do all of one color and then go back and fill in, although I think you could if you wanted to. I didn't think it through quite that far. For me, it's easier to just kind of go section by section, working my way out from wherever I start, simply because that way I don't end up with two blocks of color right next to each other that are exactly the same. And believe it or not, that is what happens if I try to do that. So if I tried to do like all of the orange yellow color combination and then tried to come back, you know, with the next color and the next color, I would end up with two right next to each other. It happens every time. So I have just found for me, it's so much easier to do it this way. Laying down all this color, definitely very bright and colorful. I think if you wanted to go more of a fall color scheme, I would do some rust, some deeper reds, kind of more of a navy look, a mustardy yellow perhaps, and some browns. I think that would be really fun as well. So lots and lots of options with this background. Great background stamps are one of my most favorite things, and there are several fantastic new ones in this exclusive Simon Says Stamp STAMPtember release. I do want to mention about STAMPtember. This is a month-long party at Simon Says Stamp. There are exclusives and collaborations from other manufacturers throughout the month, and those are very limited edition. This release, the September 1 release, is not the limited edition release. This will be restocked later on as things sell out or whatever. This is just part of the Simon Says Stamp collection. So these products will continue to be stocked, you know, for a while anyway. I know that eventually things do kind of tend to be retired or whatever, but these things will be restocked. So there is no worry about, you know, them not coming back like some of the other limited edition type of product. So let's finish coloring in these last few. I really love this background. Not only do I think it looks great the way I adhered it to my card, but imagine tipping this and doing a more landscape style card. I think it would be really fun to just put a big greeting on this and maybe a little sentiment strip underneath and call it good, and really make the background the focal point of the card instead of the picture book dies. I think that would be fun too. So to save a little bit of time today, I did do my die cutting of my picture book dies off camera, but I'm going to put them together on camera so you can see exactly how I'm going to do all of this. This strip at the bottom, I don't know if I mentioned, but my background is 4 inches by 5 1/4, so it's slightly smaller than A2 sized. My strip that goes across the bottom is 1 3/4 inches by 4 inches. So let's go ahead and start, and I need to tuck the lion's mane back behind the border, so I haven't adhered it yet. And I'm also going to tip his head just a slight little bit. He's also hanging off the edge, the left side edge. Now you might be wondering why I'm inlaying the same color of face, and that's because I want his face to stick out just a little bit more than the mane. In order to do this, I die cut the mane, or I die cut the whole thing because it's one single die from Lawn Fawn Sticky Note cardstock, but then I die cut it from Lawn Fawn Sunflower cardstock as well. Ballet slipper cardstock for the insides of the ear, but I inlaid right back into the face, the nose, the eyes with the Sticky Note cardstock. And that's because we're gradually going to increase or make dimensional, I guess is probably the better way to say it, parts of the face. The face is going to be dimensional, the eyes are going to be more dimensional, and the nose. So just different layers here and there. Now I can add my bottom layer to the card. I also want to stamp my sentiment. I am a huge fan of teeny tiny sentiment strips, and the new Tiny Words stamp set I can already tell is going to be a super favorite. It has got loads of greetings that are just fantastic for all occasions. So it's a really great versatile stamp set. I picked 2 different greetings for my 2 cards. We're going to be using Sending Happy Thoughts and You're One of a Kind. I picked a couple that would go with the hello sentiment. This script hello is from a previous release. I love to mix and match stuff from my collection. It works together seamlessly. I used it as a guide to know where I want to stamp my sentiment, and then I can adhere my sentiment strip to the bottom of my panel and finish putting together my picture book lion. So now let's go in with his sunflower face, which is a little bit darker, just one shade darker, and press that down. And that makes the insides of the ears, because we inlaid those into the original die cut, it just kind of gives it a little bit more dimension and really adds to the overall effect of the design. We're also going to adhere the shadow for the script hello. It was die cut from black licorice cardstock. And then the hello itself was die cut from white. And we will add just a little bit of Ranger Multi-Matte Medium to the back of this and then adhere it right there as well. I felt like keeping my sentiments really simple. I've got that big die cut, I've got a colorful background, and I thought this offset all of that color beautifully. Now we're going to go in, we've already inlaid the first layer of eyes. I'm going to go ahead and use the darker yellow, the sunflower yellow, and we're going to inlay that for the eyes and the nose, and then we will add another layer of glue, and I've die cut the die again, this time from a dark brown cardstock and a black cardstock. So the nose is a dark brown and the eyes are black. And I'm using a jewel picker to pick these little pieces up and put them in place. So there is that cute lion's face, all finished. And I'm going to give that glue a second to dry before going in and adding a few finishing details. We're going to flip the panel off, trim off anything that's hanging off of the edge, and then a white pen is going to be used to add some little highlights to the eyes, to add some little dots to the whiskers on the cheeks, and then even draw in some little lines kind of around the die cut to give it a little bit more definition. We'll also use glossy accents on the nose. When the glossy accents is all the way dry, I will go ahead and go back with a white pen and draw in the highlight on the nose. That's one of my favorite tips. The white pen tends to kind of get lost sometimes underneath the glossy accents, so I usually add it on top of the glossy accents. We've got a white card base here. This is a top fold card base, and I'm going to pop my panel right in place on this. Look how cute that big picture book is. I love these little faces. I think they are so, so cute. And then I'm, excuse me, taking that white pen and just drawing some little lines all the way around the face. Just kind of random, not completely everywhere, just kind of little dots and dash lines kind of is what I would call it. The final thing I'm going to do is I thought I needed some little heart accents, and I wanted them to perfectly match my watercolored background. The great way to do that is take a scrap piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock, color on it with your Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers or whatever kind of coloring medium you're using. I do this with Copics when I use Copics. Any watercolors that you maybe prefer to use, this will work with. And I'm just going to create a few little colors. I did several options. I ended up using the pink and the aqua. And then I'm going to die cut these with the Simon Says Stamp Mini Hearts dies. And this is going to give me a nice little ombre effect of colorful hearts that we're going to add a trio of these to each card. So for the lion card, we're going to use the pink ones. And I'm going to just tape this in place with a little Post-it tape before I run it through my die cutting machine. And then I can glue these down to finish off my first card design. This Mini Hearts die is like my most often used die from Simon ever, I think. There's 3 different styles of hearts and 3 sizes in each style. And they are the perfect little heart accents. Look how cute those are going to be. I'm going to use my jewel picker again, my Ranger Multi-Matte Medium, to make little dabs of glue, and then just pop these down in place. It doesn't want to stick, does it? There we go. So one by the hello, and then we're going to put two underneath in all of this nice white space right underneath our stamped greeting. And that's going to finish up my big picture book lion card. So here is the hippo. This is the second one. Again, the background's exactly the same. We're going to do a lot of similar things here. Here you can see where I did not color all the way down the panel. No reason to, because it's going to get covered up. And I stamped a different phrase from that Tiny Words stamp set. But we are going to layer parts of the hippo's face so that the front part of his face is a little bit more dimensional than the rest. I've die cut him from Simon Says Stamp Fog cardstock and Lawn Fawn Narwhal cardstock. Using Ranger Multi-Matte Medium to glue these down. And I like tipping their faces a little bit, for whatever reason, especially when I'm using these large die-cut faces. I think that they look really cute like this. Overlaying my hello. We're going to add the eyes in just like we did with the lion. So they're going to be inlay layer and then the layer of black on top of that. Some little pink for the insides of the ears. A jewel picker or some other tool like this just makes adding all of these little pieces so much easier. And we will go in and add white pin detail to the hippo as well. Just like we did to the big picture book lion, the big picture book hippo is going to have some little white lines to help dress up the face a little bit. And then I die cut the teal, or the turquoise, I guess we want to call it, hearts using the mini hearts die, and we are going to attach those just like we did the pink hearts for the lion card. One at the end of the hello and one or two underneath the sentiment. You could do a whole set of these cards if you wanted to. I think it would make cute thank you cards, all kinds of things. They work for so many different occasions. Got my top fold card base again. Use a Teflon bone folder to get a nice crease. I like to use a nice strong adhesive to pop this down in place. Loving that colorful background. That plank background stamp is super fun. If there's any little areas that need to be glued down, this is a great time to do that. You'll often see me use acrylic blocks because they're nice and heavy to help hold down anything attached with liquid glue. This holds it flat until the glue has dried completely. Let's grab our white pen, add some highlights to the eyes, add some little lines around the hippo's face, and that is going to finish up my first two card shares featuring new stamps and dies from the Simon Says Stamp STAMPtember release. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Simon Says stamps and dies that you might be interested in. Please be sure to subscribe for fun card tutorials and ideas all month long and all year long here on my YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.